So if they're spending this kind of money on equipment, why aren't we spending a little bit of extra money on the child's body?
Today's episode is brought to you by Promescent. Use the code in our description to automatically get 15% off at checkout.
What if there was just one supplement that helped you here, and yes, even here? Say hello to VitaFlux Powder for Men. This natural blend has 3 key amino acids like L-arginine, L-citrulline, and L-carnitine. With just a scoop in the morning and 1 scoop in the evening, VitaFlux helps to increase testosterone levels, improve recovery times from injury and exhaustion, and increase libido, giving you energy in any activity you engage in. Did we mention it comes with delicious flavors like mint mojito? So what are you waiting for? Get back to your prime. Shop VitaFlux Powder for Men today.
You're watching ASN Underground with Sam Mack. That's me. We bring on some of the most fascinating people in music, athletics, the film industry, and more. But today, we want to talk about saving lives. No, I'm not talking to a firefighter or paramedic. We're going to be talking to George from the Armoury Training Facility in Long Beach. And how is he saving lives? Isn't that a baseball center? Well, we're talking about genetic testing because, well, people are dropping dead in sports. And we've got a way to stop that, or at least prevent it. Please welcome to our couch, George from the Armoury Training Facility. Darling.
Good to see you.
I am so excited about this. Whew. So we've had all kinds of people sit on this couch and tell us about their life's work. But this one is truly fascinating. We've got all kinds of ethics and medicine and athletics involved and some cranky parents, sports parents. Whew.
Yes.
So let's start off with what the Armoury Training Facility is, and then we're going to get into how you save lives.
Well, the Armory Training Facility started 2 years ago. We are a travel ball baseball facility. We train athletes from anywhere from 8 all the way to pro. They come in for hitting, physical training, whatever they need to get better at. We started it 2 years ago because there's a bunch of programs out there that I was part of, and no knock on any of them. They all do a great job, but I just wanted to go a different direction. So instead of trying to change them, I decided to do it on my own. So I got with my business partners and we started the Armory Training Facility. Along with the training, we also work with Breakthrough Genomics, and they do genetic testing. What the genetic testing is, we are trying to find health issues before they become a problem, or a lot of health issues don't have symptoms or underlining. You know, you can't tell that they're there. Heart issues.
So let's talk about some of the examples of that. Before the cameras were running, we were getting into the dirty of it. So you have an example of a football player.
Yes, we have a football player. He was getting ready to go into the draft. He was training with us during the summer. And
so hold on, football player training at a baseball facility?
We are a baseball facility. We're baseball led, but we also do physical training and speed training. So we get all different athletes. It's mostly baseball led because that's 90% of our clientele is baseball. So, and then we have cages there, but we work with all athletes, female, males, it doesn't matter. If you want to get better, stronger, faster, we're there.
Awesome.
So,
back to the football player.
Yeah, so he came in to train to get better, to get faster, and to get ready to go to the draft. And while he was training, they do all the physical, the doctors come in, they got to do physicals and everything. And as he was training, he's been doing football his entire life. He even told me, like, I'm just get through school because I'm getting ready to go to football. So his whole life has been led into football. And then
it's literally living his dream.
100%. And he was about to get drafted. And while he was doing his physicals, they found that he had a heart condition.
And what does that heart condition mean for his career?
He can no longer play football.
Because he's too high risk.
Yes, too high risk.
Their insurance is like, you might have a heart attack, so we're not paying for you.
Yes. So
and then what does he do with his life?
That is where we're at now. We're trying to figure out what his next step is. He's, probably going to go into coaching and helping out the youth and spread the word about, his story, his life, and how it happened.
So he didn't have any genetic testing before this point?
No.
What would genetic testing have accomplished had he have had it sooner?
He would have actually found out, his parents would have found out that he had a weak heart or whatever the problem was with his heart, whether it was a weak wall or, his rhythm of his heart was off or whatever his case might have been. And they could have either strained the heart, try to look into some kind of surgery, talk to a specialist to try to figure out how we can continue to prolong his career, or possibly find out then that it might be a little too much for his heart. And then we could have looked at a different route and actually paid attention and went to school and tried to find a different career.
Maybe you've taken that biology class.
Yes. So.
Dang, I can't imagine being a little kid, sleeping with your football heroes taped to the walls.
Yes, and
going out and throwing your ball every weekend with your dad and wanting to be that guy.
100%.
And you're so close.
Yes.
And then it's gone with one test.
And honestly, this genetic testing has been around for a while. It's just getting more popular, recently, and a lot more. It's in the media. It's coming in the media. A lot more athletes, professional athletes, are dropping dead on the fields and stuff like that. But the travel ball and even just youth sports in general have become multi-million-dollar industry. And, all these parents, I used to talk to my high school players about this testing and the college players about this testing, but I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards the youth a little bit now, because the way training is with the youth is out of control. Some of these kids are trained 6-7 days a week. Wow. Some of these kids actually go to school. Like my Armory facility is also a school. So they come in 8 o'clock in the morning. It's a homeschool program. They come in, they go to school for about 4 to 5 hours, and then they train for 3 hours.
You're manufacturing athletes.
Yes, this is what, and we're not the only school out there. There's plenty. We're a small school compared to the other schools that are out there.
So I'm going to throw out some ideas. I'm going to try to say like devil advocate things here. I want you to stand your ground. Don't be afraid.
Okay.
Hypothetical situation. My kid's 8 years old. He's going to your training facility, right? He has the genetic testing done because I want my little kid to be an athlete. I want my kid to buy me a retirement home, right? And so I'm paying for all the top gear. I'm paying for all the top coaches. He has the genetic testing done. He loves baseball. He's super passionate about it, loves his friends. And we find out that he's got, a heart condition that can't be repaired, can't be strengthened. He's never going to make it as an athlete, right? And so now I want to pull my kid out of baseball because that's not going to get me into a nice mansion. And I'm going to now put my kid into cello lessons.
Yes. Well, this is one of the reasons why prior to this, all these events, I didn't offer or, kind of preach it to the youth, because there are some genetic codes that you can see, for long distance for endurance runners, for sprinters. There's a lot of different genetic codes that can help you decide, or that's going to help you throughout your career, whatever it is. And then I don't want parents or kids to see that they don't have that genetic marker and then just say, oh, well, I'm not going to go to that sport anymore.
That's
I
where
want you to
I'm
be able
thinking.
to push through and work through all this stuff, because hard work is where it's at anyway. This is why I have a training facility, because it's about the hard work. It's about the training. So this is why we didn't really preach this to the youth. But with health and with the genetic testing, there's different packages. So you can just do the heart, your body. You can go as detailed as in your diet. What foods are good for you, what foods you should be eating, what foods you shouldn't be eating, depending on what your body.
You mean I can't have bacon wrapped hot dogs for breakfast if I want to be an athlete?
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why we didn't push for the youth. But now I am trying to push. I have, with Breakthrough Genomics, we have a package that we put through for youth that has nothing to do with seeing those genetic codes. If you want to pay extra for that, that's on you. But what I'm trying to push on people a little bit more is just to make sure ligaments, kinetic tissues, growth hormones, growth plates, and your heart is up and running the way it should be.
Because I'm curious about the ethics of knowing too much and playing God, right?
Yes.
I'm not pro or against. I know very little about this, but I'm curious because, there are some financially driven parents out there who see their kids as wallets, and their success in athletics is what's going to make them happy. And by seeing that, oh, I've got this condition, I'm not going to be a pro athlete, well, I'm going to quit. And then the depression they go through, is there any kind of counseling? Do we encourage kids to have, like the spirit of being an athlete is more important than what genetic markers say? Or does genetic markers outweigh how badly you want to be an athlete?
I don't think genetic markers are going to outweigh any of that stuff. I think there are some parents out there who are going to lean and look at that, and it's going to affect their decision. Of course, that's the way, society is. Just like in baseball, in youth baseball, there's different levels of youth baseball. They call rec ball, travel ball, little league, and you're playing devil's advocate with that too. You have some parents that think that if you don't play a certain level of baseball, you're not going to become a D1 athlete. If you play multiple sports, you're not going to become a D1 athlete. A lot of kids these days are just staying with one sport and just specializing on one sport and one sport only. Back in the day, we played multiple sports. Whatever season it was, that's what we were playing.
Yeah.
And that's not the way it is anymore. These kids are sticking to one sport and one sport only. So is that right? Is that wrong? It's what the kid can handle, so whatever I tell that parent, they're going to make their own decision for their kid. So the only thing I can do is be there, guide them, help them, inform them, get as much information as I possibly can for them. And then they have to make the decision on their own. So with the genetic testing, this is why there's different packages. This is why I am influencing them on seeing certain things. But the ones that have the money, they're going to want to see what they want to see. That's going to affect what they believe anyway. So.
Well, it's like anything. Like a lot of times when you're so involved and hyper-focused on something, you're going to believe whatever you want to believe.
Of course. Everybody wants a quick fix. Everybody wants the easy route. Everybody wants the fastest way to get somewhere.
The similar example that I can relate to is being on social media. I can have 1,000 people like a photo and tell me I'm wonderful and perfect and amazing and beautiful. And then one person will be like, yeah, but your teeth are crooked. And I'll be like, oh, my face. I'm so upset and heartbroken. Everyone hates my teeth, right? So when we are putting kids in these under a microscope like this, kids, adults, everybody, what kind of a motivational language do you have to keep people from sinking into a depression from the results that they weren't expecting or were fearing?
As far as the youth goes, they have to have what I've seen out there. I've been doing this for a while now. They have to have a good support system, whether it's coaches, parents, friends. This is why, as far as travel ball goes, it was getting a little out of control for a while, and now I start seeing it getting a little bit better. People are starting to understand what's out there, understand that certain tournaments are just money grabs, certain tournaments are they're just out there to make some money. They don't care about the kids. So a lot of the parents are starting to stick together. A lot of the parents are starting to hang out together more, and they want what's best for their kids. If they all think the same, they're all in the same kind of frame of mind, then their kids will be too. So that's the only way I see it happening right now is a lot of the parents are staying together. They're sticking together. They believe what they believe in, and they kind of stick with that group of parents. And that's helping with these kids, their support system, their confidence. And because especially with baseball is a very hard sport. It will tear you apart. I'm not saying football, basketball, these other sports aren't, but baseball is trying to hit a baseball is a very hard thing to do. So what it does to a kid's psyche is unbelievable, especially as they've been successful 8 all the way to 12. And then they get to 12, 13, 14, and the field gets bigger, bats change. So confidence kind of dip a little bit. And this is when you find out who's the real baseball players. That's what coaches usually say. We'll find out who the real baseball players are now, because you have to learn how to deal with failure. But it's what the kids' support system looks like, what the support group looks like. So if they have a good group of coaches, good group of parents, the kids will be fine.
Can you think of an example in baseball or in athletics in general of somebody who is not genetically inclined to the sport but has been successful at it?
There are that you mean that had genetic issues and were actually successful in sports?
Yes, great example. I was also thinking of like if you look at Babe Ruth,
Okay.
right? Famous baseball player. Not necessarily the man who looks like a athlete.
Yes.
Right? So my bare minimum knowledge of baseball, that's the only example I can think of.
Yes.
Can you think of any other examples?
There are a lot of examples. I don't want to name people's names, but yeah, there are especially in baseball. If you look at baseball, they're not the typical athlete bodies, some of these guys out there, and they're amazing baseball players. They're amazing athletes. It's just what you're specializing in. So people will talk about pitchers a lot, or for instance, in football, kickers, they're not as big, as strong as the other football players. Doesn't mean that they're not as important or as an athletic or an athlete as these other guys are. They just specialize in something different.
Right.
So depending on what you're specializing in and this is why we built Armory, is because when you come in, we find out what you need to do. We don't have just a cookie cutter where everybody's doing the same exercise, everybody's doing this, everybody's doing that. Yes, we do have clinics where everybody works as a group, but when you come in and you talk to us, we try to build a personal plan for you, what you're trying to get. So if you're looking to get faster, we're not going to put a bunch of weight on you. We're going to build speed, hip flexor, stuff like that.
So through this genetic testing, is it possible, once again, I know very little, so it might be a dumb question, is it possible then to fine-tune an athlete and change their position and make them a better athlete because you now know that genetically they are going to run faster, or genetically they're going to be able to do this position better than that position? Or is that something a coach can tell long before science?
I can't say coach. Yeah, I can't say, because being a coach, you kind of see the same kids all the time, every day. You work with them, you get to know them, so you understand what they're going through. But as far as having genetic testing, as far as me as a trainer, is kind of like a cheat code. So basically, if I have a kid who pays, like especially my high school guys, my college guys are paying for a little bit bigger package. They want to know what foods they should be eating, stuff like that. So that's why I consider it a little cheat code, because when I get information like that, now I know what they need to stay away from. How much, like sometimes these guys don't need carbs in their bodies. Some guys need more carbs in their bodies.
Right.
So that helps me put their diet plans together. If they have like loose connective tissue, if I have youth kids who have growth plate issues, now I know what to attack to strengthen, to get stronger. Right. Because a lot of these kids, like if they have bad knees, one knee, they'll favor this one, and then this one will start breaking down.
Right.
Because they start favoring this one. So instead, we start building this knee up to make it stronger, so that way it can, you can be on both knees. So yes, it is a little bit easier for as a trainer, but again, we're going to train you the way old-fashioned coaches train. We're going to get there, we're going to meet you, we're going to talk to you, we're going to put you through some tests, and then we're going to go from there.
This is absolutely incredible. So what would be a positive, like the best positive result somebody could get from genetic testing?
Seeing that positive would be that there's nothing wrong with you, that you're in good health, but also positive would be, like I said, if you found out that, hey, maybe having more carbs can help you, or you're more of an endurance athlete than a sprint athlete. What that means is we know how to train you. We can train you long distance. We can train you heavier weight, longer time.
This gives you the advantage
yes.
on athletes that you're competing against who don't have the same technology.
And this is why now I am starting to talk about it a little bit more, because I see how much money these parents are actually investing into their kids at a young age. And I see they spend $500 on bats, $400 on gloves. Oh yeah, it's all happening.
A $500 bat.
Yes. So if they're spending this kind of money on equipment, why aren't we spending a little bit of extra money on the child's body and health and well-being? So
what do the naysayers say?
That it's all just just money grab, and they're just using it to just tell you what you want to hear and stuff like that. But again, it benefits it's what you're looking for. Like, again, I'm trying to explain to people that it's about your heart. 100% it's about heart right now. A lot of athletes these days, for some reason, I don't know if it's what we're eating, how we're eating, or what's going on, but maybe it's kind of what I've seen is a lot of these kids are starting to work out a lot sooner. So their bodies...
Is that positive or negative?
Again, it's how you train. So if you come out hard at a young age and don't know how to build something up, you could be really bad. But if you build the kid up and teach them the proper technique and and show him the proper way to work out, it can be beneficial. My son is 13 years old now. Man, he's been lifting, I say lifting weights, but not like heavy weights, like 5, 10-pound weights, 2-pound weights, since he was about eight years old.
And I mean, it is reasonable, I believe, for a child to be lifting something that's 2, 5, 10 pounds, right?
Yes, body
You're gonna
weight.
pick up the family dog,
Yes.
like this should be a strength that you can lift.
When we were younger, we did PE and you did pull-ups.
Yep.
Our body weight is more than 5
Way
pounds.
more.
Yes, so pull-ups, push-ups, you're pushing your body weight up off the ground. So all that stuff, squats, all this body weight stuff, we do a lot of that stuff. We use PVC pipes as poles, just so that way they can understand what a pole feels like behind your back or front squat, and then we teach them proper technique that way. So if you're teaching that at a young age, and then they build up to working out with real weights, then I don't see anything wrong with it.
It's just a beautiful preventative measure too.
Yes.
People who don't know better, we always say knowledge is power, right?
Yes,
so I'm
of
talking
course.
about, first time I heard about this genetic testing, I was like, man, I imagine some Karen wanting to profit off of her kid, which is kind of, it sounds like an evil thing, right? And her kid's being forced to play baseball because this genetic test told her that her kid's an athlete, but he just wants to be a scientist, Ma, right? And I'm just like, wow, what are the ethics of this? Are you guiding your children into a direction they're naturally talented in, or are you forcing your kids to do things because you want them to be successful, but how they feel doesn't matter? So there's this balance. And once again, I am coming from a zero knowledge point of view and just trying to think of worst case scenarios.
Yes.
But as we were talking about earlier, I remember being in high school and we were 14 years old, we're watching the school basketball game, and our classmate, Calvin, dropped dead while shooting hoops. And it was because nobody knew he had a heart condition. And that was the first time in my teenage life where I experienced the death of a friend, and not a grandparent or aging or a car accident. Somebody just died because their body gave out. And you cannot convince me that those parents, even us as his friends, would not have given anything to have known through genetic testing or anything else that we could have prevented this death, because it was tragic. We watched our friend die.
Yes.
And so as much as I'm trying to play devil's advocate and think of why this is bad and wrong, and you're playing God, what we wouldn't give to add days and years to people's lives, whether they're athletes or our friends or our children. Knowledge is power, and the more we know about our bodies and the more we talk about it and the more that we train healthy, the difference between going to the gym and lifting 100 pounds because it looks cool on Instagram versus working with a PVC pipe and getting that foundation built before adding those weights, preventing tears in muscles, preventing tears in ligaments, preventing injury and the bar falling on you, getting stuck in your own own garage.
And that's one of the biggest things we at Armory try to convince these athletes that these colleges are coming to you and offering you scholarships, not because of the bat you swing, the glove you carry, or how you look on a field. It's what you can do with your body, how you can move your body, how you can swing a bat. It's what you can do with that body. So I think we need to invest a little bit more into our bodies. And as much as they're young and we feel like they could eat whatever they want, just watching a little bit of what they eat and how much water they drink, you would see if we're invested into their futures and athletes like we want them to be, then we would be preaching that more.
So sidebar, I want to slip over here. You mentioned water.
Yes.
Tell me about the importance of just plain basic water in our lives. Children, athletes, adults. Where does water fit in?
With me, it's 100% everything with my athletes. They need to be drinking water. I tell them hydration is not just drinking hydration, it's eating hydration. So fruit also, a lot of apples, oranges, watermelon, stuff like that. So you just don't have to get waterlogged, because a lot of my athletes will tell me, Coach, I drink so much water and then I feel heavy in my stomach. There's different ways to hydrate. You can eat your hydration. So there's different ways to do it, but to me, hydration is everything. When your body is hydrated, your skin's better, your hair's better, everything, nails are better. So hydration to me is life. So it's like oil for your car. If you don't have oil in your car's gonna heat up and it's gonna burn. Same thing with your body. If you don't have water in your body, you're gonna overheat and you're gonna die.
So often we put sports and energy drinks and Powerade type beverages, all in, no shame to Powerade, in the same theme together.
Yes.
But do we encourage energy drinks? Are we encouraging these kind of athletic beverages?
Me at my facility, I'm sorry to everybody, I don't really promote that. educate them, and I explain, like, do we have Gatorade and Powerade at my facility? Of course we do. We have it there for them. But I always tell them, you know, how much sugar is in that stuff. I'm not telling you not to drink it. We need electrolytes, we need all that stuff. But same thing in the military. When I was in the military, they gave us Powerade. But every time they gave us Powerade, we drank half Powerade, you filled the rest up with water. So you always try to water it down because you're always trying to hydrate, but you don't need that much sugar in your body. And then too much electrolytes is not very good for you either. So just drinking nothing but Gatorade is not good for you.
So we talk about how you were used to be in the military.
Yes.
And now you're this baseball coach, this genetic scientist creating these athletic monsters. How did being in the military affect your current career?
It was everything. When I first got into baseball, I knew nothing about baseball. I barely played baseball. I played football and basketball. Then I joined the military, and was in the military. I did a lot of, you know, fitness in there, and we work out every day and build plans and stuff like that. So when I got out, my son wanted to play baseball. So we just went to a park and found the nearest rec ball park and started doing that. And luckily, he just happened to be one of the top athletes there, so I went looking for something different, something more. So we found travel ball and got into that and started looking into that. And when I started to coach travel ball, like when I first got into it, I told myself, well, I went to my first tournament and I got kind of embarrassed. You know, I didn't know rules, didn't know anything, and I was just kind of like lost out there. And it was funny that parents knew more rules than I did. And I was like, man, if I'm gonna do this, I better know what I'm doing. So that's when I just got into studying and been learning ever since. Every year I'm studying, I'm part of the ABCA, which is the American Baseball Coaches Association. So I go to that every year. Now I'm helping my athletes that I coached at a younger age. Like I have guys who've gone to college, graduated college. Now they're coming back and work for me at Armory. Now they're becoming coaches. So now I'm not only just coaching kids how to play baseball, but coaching my old athletes how to become coaches. So it's amazing, it's fun, it doesn't even feel like a job half the time because I'm hanging out with the kids that I've been with the whole time, so it's fun.
And you learn so much about the importance of your body and your health and leadership and teamwork in the military, that transferring it over into a job now must just seem like second nature.
Yes, and then being around, because I was infantry, so I was around a lot of guys all the time, so it's kind of just like them. And then I think them knowing that I was in the military, they know what I've been through because I talk to them about everything. If they ask me questions, I talk to them about stuff. So I think them knowing that stuff, they respect me a little bit more for it and everything. So, you know, I use it to my advantage sometimes, talk to them about it. I have a lot of athletes that graduate high school, then join the military. One of my coaches right now, Steven Patino, he was graduated high school, went to the Marines, did his 4 years, and now has come back and coaches for me.
So what is the difference? Because you were more versed in basketball and football before becoming a baseball coach. How is training for those sports similar to baseball, and how is it very different?
Actually, I use a lot of other sports drills in baseball. The way I talk about, I would like other kids to play other sports. So if I can't get them to play other sports, I do other sport drills. So we do basketball drills, we do football drills, we do all their footwork, especially soccer drills. Soccer, amazing athletes, what they can do with their feet and be able to move. So I bring all those type of drills into baseball and any other sport anyway. Like if I have a football player, I'll explain to them how important, you know, the soccer, like I said, the feet work is, the stop and go. It's all kind of similar of being an athlete. If I can train you to be an athlete, you can play any sport you want to. Just how much you train for it.
Is it possible for someone to come to the Armory? They're athletic, they've got a bunch of sports under their belt, they don't know what direction to go in. Would training and testing through your facility help fine-tune them and make them the athlete they need to be?
Yes, I have a couple athletes like that right now that they start off young, so some of them do play multiple sports, and as they get into high school, like right now they're young, so they're playing football, basketball, and baseball. But as they get into high school, you go into seasons. You can't play every sport. So you have to kind of cut down and find out what sport you're able to play during those seasons. So that's when they start having to make a decision. Which one do I want to specialize in? Which one do I want to, you know, secondary? And then that's where we have to go, okay, what's your positive? What's your negative? What do you love more? And honestly, I really try not to, I know this is going to sound bad, I really try not to talk to the parents too much. It's mostly the kids, it's the athletes, it's what they want. If I have a happy athlete, I have a good athlete.
I love that you said, what do they want?
Yes.
Because no matter what test results say, at the end of the day, when somebody is passionate about a specific sport,
Yes.
you know that that passion is going to go further than whatever test results come out of a machine.
Yes, of course. I have another story. I have 3 brothers. They all played baseball. And as they're all growing up, the younger one decides, I think I want to play football.
Right.
And the other brothers didn't play football. So they're like, huh, why do you want to play? You know, it's just something different. He's been around baseball his entire life because of his brothers. Then he meets football and he falls in love with it. And now he plays both sports in high school. And I honestly, personally think he loves football more than he does baseball. So he's more of a football player than he is a baseball player. And his whole family plays baseball. They play in high school and his older brother plays in college.
And it's okay to be the black sheep.
It's okay.
It's
you find your own
okay.
identity, you find what you want. But when he came to my facility, I was working at a different facility at that time. He came to train with us. That's when he's seen some other football players. And he was like, oh, I want to try that out. So I'll be honest with you. I don't know if his parents are gonna like that, but I pushed him over there. I told him, go check it out. Go look, go see what it's about. And he stopped training with me and started training with football. I lost him as a baseball player, but he was happy.
Bad business move,
Yeah,
but great, emotional for him.
Again, it's
mental,
mostly
physical,
for these
he's
kids.
happy, and that's what
Yes.
matters.
So-
I love that you are so like well-grounded in your morals and your ethics, and you have all this extra superpower knowledge, and you're using it for good and not evil.
No, I appreciate it. I try, you know, again, I did what I had to do in the military, and when I came out, luckily I found my wife, and when I met my wife, I told her, this is my goal, is to help kids. I don't know why, it's just to help as many kids as I possibly can.
Right.
So she, honestly, she loves baseball as much as I do. She's the one that pushes. She's one of my business partners in this whole thing. She runs Armory, like the travel ball teams.
Yeah.
She runs most of it, and it's our baby. It's our baby that we have 100 and something kids, and we consider them all our kids. And you know, we travel with them. We were just in Seattle with them. Like, we travel all over with them, so it's fun.
Oh, I absolutely love this, and I love a good husband-wife team. I am constantly looking for motivational couples, inspiring couples who are working together for a common goal. And the world needs more love and more trust and more people using that teamwork inside the relationships, in their family, in their sports.
Yes.
You are a wonderful example and a great mentor, and we're so grateful that these kids and these athletes have access to you and people like you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for everything that you're doing.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is
What
amazing.
can the average Joe sitting at home, maybe not an athlete, is there anything you could do for him?
Yes, come down. We have, not only do we do sports-specific stuff, but if you just want to lose some weight, we have a weight room in there. We get to work whatever you need, whatever you want. Come see us. We're at armouryfacility.org, and then you can find us on Instagram.
Make sure you follow them on Instagram. Make sure you go to their website. And you know what? Why not? Go get your genetics tested. See what's going on, because knowledge is power. And this guy is using his power for good, not evil. You are in good hands when you're with George. We will see you in Long Beach at the Armoury Training Center, and you'll be right back here next week with more at ASN Underground.
I'm not saying I'm a bad lover, but sometimes I was the only one crossing the finish line.
Sometimes?
But the first time I tried Promescent Delay Spray, wow.
Wow.
Just a few sprays and I could focus more on the intimacy and not be worried about finishing too soon. Now I'm not just running a sprint. We're both signed up for a marathon together.
And he lets me cross the finish line first.
Anything for you, milady?
No accents.
Right, I mean, right.
You're watching ASN Underground.